everyone! Today I was going to take you along as we make some sauerkraut. I bought a 40-pound box of cabbage from Azure Standard, and so I've been getting my way through this box here. I did 3 half-gallon jars the other day of a regular sauerkraut. That's just the cabbage with salt, and there's nothing else in it. And today I'm going to be doing a different version of sauerkraut. They call it a Latin American sauerkraut or Curtido. I'm going to be adapting this recipe from the Nourishing Traditions book by Sally Fallon. So I'm going to be changing the amounts just a little bit, and I'm going to be adding some things that I like to add. The ratio might be calculated a little bit different than the book, but it's going to be based off of that recipe. So this is a really awesome book if you've never heard of it. Nourishing Traditions by Sally Fallon. It has just a lot of really great nutritional information and a lot of recipes and ways that food was prepared in the past in like ancient cultures around the world. So it's kind of like the lost art of food preparation that we have kind of lost in our modern society. So it's a really good book. I'll link it below if you're interested in that. But other than that, we just need a few simple ingredients. Like I said, if you're doing regular sauerkraut, typically all you're gonna need is just some green cabbage and some salt, sea salt. Some people like to put caraway seeds. We like to do it just plain. That's up to you. But in this version, we're going to be using some green cabbage. We're going to be doing carrots, grated, some onion, and a couple cloves of garlic per jar. And for a little extra flavor, we're going to be doing some dried oregano. This is the dried oregano from our garden. And then you can do red pepper flakes. This is just cayenne pepper that I had dried from our garden, and I just cut it into little pieces. Yeah, that's it for the ingredients. And then of course you need some mason jars to put everything in. We'll see how much this actually makes, but I have 3 half gallons ready for me. We'll see how much it fills. And then what's really helpful to have are these mason tops. These are the mason top weights that will hold the cabbage under the brine, and then the little fermenting lids. Those are really, really nice to have. And then of course a ring, a regular mason jar ring, which I need to get still, to secure that on top. And then one of these are helpful, or any sort of mallet to pound the cabbage. This came with the mason top kit. I did end up buying one of these a while back. So this is really helpful. It comes with everything that you need. But you don't need to do that if you want to try this and you don't want to get that, or you can't get that at this point. Don't worry, you can still absolutely make sauerkraut. I did that before. So in the past, before I had one of these mallets, I mean it's just a wooden mallet. It has a nice flat bottom, which is nice. But in the past, I've taken my exercise weights, I put a plastic bag over it, and use that to pound it. And actually that works really well because it's really heavy, and so it really releases the juices out of the cabbage. Okay, so I'm just gonna get started chopping and getting everything.
Let's get started.
And start getting everything chopped and everything prepped, and I'll take you along with us today. Okay.
Let's get started.
Okay, I got everything all chopped up here and prepared. We have our sliced cabbage, we have our sliced onions, our carrots, and our minced garlic. So this was, hold on, we had, how many cabbages did we do? 6.
6, yeah, 6.
So this is 6 cabbages sliced, this is 3 onions sliced, and this is
Carrot.
3 cups of grated carrots, and this is 6 cloves of minced garlic. So now we want to weigh all of our ingredients. So we're gonna put our bowl onto the kitchen scale, clear it, tare it. Okay, here I am just measuring out all of my ingredients. Because I'm doing such a large batch, I don't have a bowl big enough to fit everything at once. So I'm just weighing it in batches, and then here I am recording the weight in grams, and then at the end I'll just add it all up, and then I will use that number to calculate how much salt I'm going to need. Then we're going to add the oregano and the cayenne pepper flakes. Okay, so I'm done weighing all the ingredients, and now I'm just dispersing them into the 2 different bowls, and then I'm going to be calculating my salt ratio. The amount of salt that you're going to need is going to be 2% of the weight of all of your ingredients, and I measure that in grams. Okay, so that's my total weight in grams, so I'm going to do 2% of that, 0.02. Multiply it by 0.02 and then 5.94, so that's how much salt in grams that we need. Okay, so now we're gonna just use our hands and just really get in there. We all washed our hands. So we've just been mixing it up, and as you mix it in more and more and mix it in with the salt, it starts to condense down a lot and shrink down. So now I have it all in this one big bowl. Just really working it in. You want it to release the juices. It helps to just let it sit for 15 minutes before you start putting it in the jars. Mix it really well, and then we're going to start tamping it down, start pounding it with that mallet. Here I'm just showing you the juices that have released from the cabbage, so now you can start packing it into the jars. So you want to pack the ingredients into the jars, and then every so often stop and use your kraut pounder to push down the ingredients, and as you can see, the brine is going over the cabbage, and that's what you want to see. So just keep packing and then pushing down until you get it all the way full, and make sure you leave about an inch or 2 of headspace. Here I realized I didn't have quite enough for that last jar, so I'm emptying it into a 1-quart jar and 1 pint jar instead of the big half-gallon. Then here you can just take your glass weight and push it down. Make sure that the liquid is completely covering your cabbage and you don't have anything poking up through. and then put your fermenting lid on, and then you can just secure it with a regular mason jar ring. And then I'm just going ahead and wiping down all the jars, making sure they are nice and clean, because this was a messy operation. Then when you are finished, you can just let them sit out on your countertop, make sure they're out of direct sunlight, and you can let them sit anywhere between 3 days to a week, and then you will end up capping them and moving them into cold storage. Hey everyone, so today our sauerkraut is all done fermenting. We have it all back there. I did have it fermenting in a dark pantry, but I just took it out for to get it all put away and take the weights out and get the caps on and talk to you guys about it. Okay, so we had the regular sauerkraut, that's this one here, and then we had the other one, it was called like the Latin American sauerkraut or the Curtido version of that. Kind of like my own version of it, but so that's this one. So this one was a couple days longer. This has been about a week fermenting, and this one's been about 5 days. So I had done a whole bunch of different jars, but so I had a little guy here I started with. So I've already taken the weight out of this one, and we had a little bit of this one and the regular sauerkraut for lunch. So those ones are done, and they taste really good to me, so I think that is where we're going to stop the fermentation process out here. So to show you what it's supposed to look like when it's done, we'll take this for example. This is the Latin American Curtido sauerkraut. So when it is done and it's been fermenting in there, you can see that there's little bubbles that are forming in there, and they're going to be bubbling up like that. This is built up pressure. See, there's pressure built up, and that's what's great about these. You don't have to come and let the air out or burp your jars. It'll just let out the extra gas slowly. So you don't have to worry about that, but as you can see, there's the pressure built up in there. So when you're opening this, be careful because it's going to bubble and probably spill over. Like that, it's dripping down here. Hey. So you're just going to take, you're going to take that off, and it's going to be pretty full of water, and then just you take your weight out. And as you can see, or maybe not, I don't want to spill it everywhere, but as you can see, there's nothing formed on there. There's no mold or anything like that. It looks really, really good. Everything stayed, all the vegetables stayed submerged underneath the brine, so you're not going to have any issue with that. Obviously, if you see a mold on there, any black mold or anything like that, just throw the whole thing out. But if you use if you use a good ratio with the salt, and you make sure everything stays submerged and it doesn't get exposed to the air, that's how the mold would form. So yeah, so it's pretty simple, but that's what it should look like when it's done. You can go ahead and give it a taste. So it's best to use a non-metal utensil. I have these wooden tongs here to use for my ferments, and so you could just go ahead and give it a taste and make sure you like the amount of sourness, the amount of fermentation that took place, and then you can go ahead, you can leave the weight out. Once you know it's done and you want to put it into storage, just get a nice...
That's a cute picture.
That's a cute picture. Just get yourself a nice lid here. Just get yourself a nice lid like this. I like the plastic lids for like long-term storage for sauerkraut and ferments, but you can use a regular canning lid too if it's going to stay in the refrigerator and that's not going to be in there very long. As I mentioned in my fermenting radishes video I posted a while back, we had a little bit of rusting problem with the metal tops and rings because we do long-term storage for it in our pump house. So it had a lot of moisture down there, so it gave us a little rusting problem. So that's why I'm going to use these plastic lids, and so then all you do is just move them into cold storage, put them in your refrigerator, or if you have a root cellar or something like that, that would be great too. But yeah, it'll be great in your refrigerator, and it'll last you at least 6 months. Obviously use your judgment, use your nose, use your eyes.
That's
So that's it, you guys. That's all there is to it. It's a really great thing to have on hand. You know, if you just need to add some vegetables to your diet, just a quick side. It's really great on sandwiches. Kids love it, or at least my kids love it. Maybe not every kid, but it's so good for your gut health, and getting a little bit of probiotics into your diet every day is a really good thing to do. So I hope this was interesting or helpful to you in some way, and or maybe inspired you to try making sauerkraut. We appreciate you watching the video, and we will see you on the next one.
Take care.
Thank you, and have a blessed day.